Alright people, what's going on? Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel. Got another video for you guys. Before we get into today's video, please make sure to hit this video with a like. It's been helping the channel out a lot, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job with giving these videos likes, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. Also, make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. About 95% of you guys that are watching aren't subscribed, so if you're enjoying the content and keep coming back, why not hit the subscribe button to continue getting that content, and finally hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new content or go live. So with that out of the way, I wanted to more or less start a new series, if you want to call it that, basically going through each position group on the Dallas Cowboys and just doing my evaluation to where I think the Cowboys are at that position. Do I think they can do better? This, that, and third. So I want to see how well this is received, because if it's received well, I'll continue to do it. So quarterback, right? Quarterback's the most important position on the football field. You know, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're not going anywhere. And if you don't have a good backup and your starter gets hurt, you're kind of screwed. So when it comes to where we're at right now, the Dallas Cowboys, let's just start out with QB1, Dak Prescott. Obviously, we know Dak Prescott has grown over his 4 years as being a starter for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's been in that upper echelon of quarterbacks. Not talking about like top 5, I'm more so talking about the top 10 category, or hell, the top 15 at the least, okay? Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback, and I'm not here to, tell people like or argue that fact, because all of the evidence and all statistics, analytics, you name it, prove that. And look, he threw for 30 plus touchdowns in a season, okay? And that's a huge step from what people were looking at him as. Oh, he can't throw deep, even though statistics have proven he's one of the best deep throwers in the NFL. He's the best, like one of the best third down quarterbacks in the NFL. I can go on and on and on. The fact is Dak Prescott's getting better as a passer, and I think a lot of people aren't crediting him for that from what I've seen. So the best thing for me to say is, look, the Cowboys will go as far as Dak Prescott does in terms of how well he plays. Now, I'm not saying Dak Prescott's elite, because my criteria for being elite really comes in your second contract as a quarterback when that kicks in. So when he gets his new deal, that's when the evaluation to determine whether or not he's a truly elite quarterback. And I think a lot of people misunderstand the differences between being an elite quarterback and a franchise quarterback. A franchise quarterback is just being that guy that you can lean on for the team, and you basically lead your team. You don't have to play an elite level to be a franchise quarterback. I think that's a really stupid that's a really dumb way to put it when it comes to how you evaluate the quarterback position. Now, I'm not saying Dak's perfect, but I will tell you that Dak Prescott definitely is a lot better than most starters in the NFL. And once he gets his new contract and he's back in the fold, we're going to see how well he does with Mike McCarthy. So, with all that being said about Dak Prescott, I'm not going to talk about the contract or anything. I would give him a solid B+ rating. If you were basically telling me, okay, would you give him a letter grade, what would it be? I would say B+, A-, mainly due to the fact that, the A gradings usually go to elite quarterbacks, but considering he played like a top 5 quarterback this year, or last year, I should say, I think that he's worthy of that type of grade. Now, with that starting quarterback position out of the way, the biggest question mark for me, and I think a lot of other Cowboys fans, is who's going to be that backup quarterback, okay? The Cowboys haven't had a solid quarterback backup since, I would say, Kyle Orton. A guy that can play very well and doesn't necessarily need to, it's different, because when you look at how other backups in Dallas have done, you look at the Brandon Whedons, you look at the Matt Castles and the Kellen Moores, etc., or, those types of guys are the backups you don't want. You don't want a backup where that all you have to do is just stack the box as a defense and you can stop the offense. No, the backup quarterback you need is a guy that can step in and basically do what the starter can do, or not even do it to that level, but more so do it enough to get you enough wins until your starter gets back. And I think, initially when the Cowboys just had Cooper Rush and I believe it's Clayton Thorson, if I remember his name correctly, that is something that I wasn't comfortable with, okay? The Dallas Cowboys were nowhere in that ballpark of having a good backup. And you would be very naive to believe that the Cowboys, had a good backup, okay? The only reason people thought Cooper Rush could have possibly been better was based off of preseason play when the guy only threw like one or three passes in his entire career so far. But then the Cowboys, I think, struck gold here. So what happened was Andy Dalton gets released by the Bengals, and there's a lot of speculation of, okay, is this guy going to go be a starter elsewhere? Because many people thought, oh, this guy can be a starter. Maybe he goes to New England, this, that, and the third. He ends up going to Dallas out of all teams, and he's going to be a backup to Dak Prescott. Now, this led to Cooper Rush's release, and I think this instantly catapulted the QB room for the Cowboys up a bunch of notches, okay? To go from an undrafted, a guy that you can't really do much with if your starter goes out, to a guy that's had Pro Bowl experience, started in the NFL, led his team to done all of that. Basically, he's the John Kitna to Tony Romo in this situation. He's a real, he was a solid starter in the NFL, and he can be a solid backup, and even possibly one of the better backups in the league, considering who he's compared to. So, I would say that the Cowboys did a fantastic job, especially with, wanting to address this position, because I wasn't the only one clamoring for the backup position to be addressed, because I know many people were talking about it. So for me, I think the Cowboys did a fantastic job with bringing in Andy Dalton to be Dak Prescott's backup for now. I don't think he'll be back after next year. I think he's just using this as a springboard. He's just using this as a stopgap, and then once free agency hits, he'll be off and he'll be getting his new job. So that's how I think it's going to happen. Unless there's no market for Andy Dalton, I think he could be back, but I wouldn't put it past him for just staying for the year. And I think that we can win games with Andy if Dak Prescott were to get hurt. Okay? I think now, after Andy Dalton's acquisition, I think now we look to the future of the backup quarterback position. Okay? So we have two guys currently on the roster out of the four quarterbacks, and that is Clayton Thorson and Ben DiNucci, the rookie, out of James Madison University. Okay, so when it comes to that third string position, I would say my money would be on Ben DiNucci, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to go into the season with three quarterbacks, just based off of the judgment of the other positions and where I think we are currently. I do think, though, that when you look at the two of them, I definitely think Ben DiNucci has a much better chance at developing into a solid quarterback. He's one of Mike McCarthy's guys, We'll see what happens. And, Mike McCarthy has been known to do this, draft quarterbacks and try to develop them into solid backups, because, that's something that I really do like with certain coaches, is that they're not afraid to use not high-end draft capital. You should never use three rounds or more on a backup quarterback unless you have a situation to where you have an older quarterback and you're trying to groom. That's the only exception, right? I do like the fact that you want to try and either push a starter or you want to try and have that insurance policy. That's just my personal opinion, but I only have certain limits to where that can go, obviously. But, we got a chance to see Clayton Thorson last year in the preseason, and, it wasn't really a hell of a lot of much to see. He looked solid here and there, and he looked like, okay, he looks more like you can probably do the same things Dak can do, but considering the fact, because of that mobile factor and stuff like that. But in totality, when you look at it, honestly, now that Dak Prescott's game is starting to morph into more of the pass first, run second type of guy, and we're starting to really trust him with his arm rather than his legs. Basically, that's what, most quarterbacks should end up becoming if they end up being dual threat. They should be more reliant on the pass than the run game, because that's where most of your plays are going to come from, the passing game. I think that Ben DiNucci probably gets the nod there. Granted, we don't know what he's going to look like, and I think that really it comes down to how the Cowboys address Andy Dalton's departure after 2020 if he leaves. And I think that Ben DiNucci definitely would be your backup of the future at this point in time, considering the fact that, he has those intangibles to become a solid backup. I don't think he's starter quality, no, but I definitely think that if McCarthy can rub some of that magic he's done with quarterbacks on him, I think that you can have a very good starter and a cheap one at that. And I think that's something that the Cowboys definitely would need in the future is just, okay, every 3 to 4 years we'll draft a quarterback and we could possibly develop into a solid starter, and then there's that until Dak retires, obviously. But with all that being said, I do think that the Cowboys overall as a quarterback, group, I think they've done very well. Obviously, Dak Prescott's growth in the acquisition of Andy Dalton as the backup quarterback definitely propels this, in my opinion, to an A to A plus tier position group, arguably in the NFL too, because when you have a situation where you have a very good starter, great starter, and you have a backup who can be good to maybe very good depending on the situation, I definitely think that, that's a fair grade in my mind. So, with all that being said, I want to hear what you guys have to say, where you would grade the Dallas Cowboys in terms of the quarterback room and position. Feel free to put that in the comment section below, and if you made it to the end of the video, please make sure to hit this video with a like if it receives a ton of great feedback and a ton of great, that type of volume. I'll definitely continue. Also, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new content. With that being said, I will see you guys later. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
I used to live in Sin Cities like Bruce Willis, but I'm Jackie Chan, karate chopping, I'm still kicking. I used to be chopped and screwed, I'm Lil flipping. Now I'm nice, Mike Jordan, so who's pippin'? I'm running man, you the running man, you still slipping. I hit records, you swinging, it's still